supply status check. All five, report in. All green, front. Primary throttle on CS engine online.
Joker, how you looking?
Looking good. Nav status, nominal profile.
Roger that. Auto nav engaged.
Lot of debris out here, man. It's a real junkyard. Be careful down there. See you on the surface. But hang on. My navcom's going buggy. Must be all the debris. And I'm hit. I'm hit. Primary power is out. Auxiliaries aren't engaged. She lost the fuel cell. She's dead. I'm going in. I'm going in.
Computer updated. Computer updated. Computer updated. Computer updated.
Huh!